Hello everyone, in this video I would like to show how can we configure our OPC UA in one Beckhoff external controller. That means I will use my laptop running as an engineering laptop and configure one external controller, that is a Beckhoff IPC industry PC. This Beckhoff IPC will run the TwinCAT runtime and the OPC UA server. This Beckhoff controller actually is a Windows 10 system and its type is a C6030, this type. And that controller actually is the Windows 10 OS system running inside that controller. I installed the TwinCAT 3 software as well as the OPC UA software from Beckhoff. That is a TF6100 OPC UA component. Okay, let's start. So firstly, this is my engineering laptop. And let's right-click, click this Run as an administrator. Let me create a new project, start from the scratch. So let me create new project. Select the TwinCAT project, okay, and select this directory location. Select this directory. The project name, we can name that TwinCAT OPC UA Server. C6030. Click OK. Okay, we create this project and let me create one PLC project. Okay, add a new item. So make sure we are creating one PLC project, still follow this directory. Okay, so here we name that PLC OPC UA. Click this standard PLC project. Okay, to implement the OPC UA server function, one key setting, that is the OPC UA variable setting. To publish PLC variables as OPC UA variables, basically we could have two ways. One way, we could totally publish entire variable list. Another way, we can individually publish the individual PLC variables. Let me show how can we individually assign one variable as the published OPC UA variable. We need to assign the attribute for that. Let's create one global variable list. Okay, we can name that OPC UA here. Okay, at here we can declare our variables. The variables will play the role exchanging the data between the server and the client, the OPC UA server and the OPC UA client. So firstly, let me declare one bool variable. So this is the typical syntax. The bool1, I name that. So because this is one bool, my prefix, that is a small case b here. So this is not enough. Other than this variable, this is our common way to declare one variable, right? But if this variable will be used for exchanging the data between the OPC UA server and the client, we definitely need to declare one syntax, one attribute like this. So attribute, you need to type in attribute opc.ua.da equal 1. So we need to activate this attribute. So for every variable, we need to declare a variable like this way. This way allows us to specifically assign one individual variable as OPC UA variables. I can following this way declare other two variable bool variables. For example, bool2, bool3. Okay, their attribute, they are the same. Okay, this is 3 bool. Okay, let me declare the one integer. The integer, the small case I, that prefix I means this is one integer. So I will name that integer 1. And its data type is integer, right? And the same thing, we need to add this attribute on the top of this variable, okay, here. And same way, I will declare other two integers. Okay, this is integer. For the real value, we can declare, for example, r real1. Okay, this is a real. Okay, and same thing, copy this attribute. And to show the variable without this attribute, I can declare the real for. Okay, I can declare this real for, but this real for does not have this attribute. Same thing, I will declare one integer, the integer 4. This integer 4 doesn't have that attribute, so we will see the difference. Okay, so we can save and build this project first. So after we build, the system will generate something behind. Okay, after we build those variables, let's set one properties under this PLC here. Your PLC project here, double click. So go to setting here and check out this TMC file. You need to activate this TMC file. Take care here. And other than this, let's go to system. Click this license. And we need to activate the license. Even that license is trial license, but we need to activate the license. But before we activate the license, we need to make sure the license we are going to active that locate in our remote controller or your Beckhoff controller, right? Now this shows local. That means this ID comes from my local machine. This is my engineering laptop. In this case, I'm going to active the license and config one remote controller. This is outside one external controller. So firstly, I need to set up this communication. So from here, I need to click this choose target system. Firstly, we need to set up the router. So if you recall, to set up the router, we need to go to find out this config mode, this icon. Right click, click this router, edit routers. Now I already set up this router. I can remove that. And let me set up the game. So click this add. Okay, and here we can type in the controller IP address. Click this enter. So once here show up, that means this router, once we type in this IP address, this laptop can find the remote controller. So it found it. Double check the AMS NET ID. So this is system automatic generate that. So this allows us to double check the version, OS version, and the name, the setup name. So here I can rename that. For example, I can name that C6030. So just to rename this connection name, okay? And here they are static, okay? And click this router, add. Turn off this is secure ADS. Okay, username, this is the administrator, and this is the capital A here. Password that comes from the default password from Beckhoff controller. Password is 1, okay? And click OK. So once you see this connected shows cross, that means we set up this connection successfully. So we can close, and now this connection show up. And once it show up, and then we shift to here, then we will see this is the connection name. So we just set up this, its IP address is 1.10. So we can click this. And after we click this, we can see this area got a refreshed. That means, so now this area represent the remote controller. That external computer there, that's the Beckhoff computer. And this ID also represent that external this computer. Okay, and now let me activate this license. This is firstly this PLC license. Let me click this 7 days license. For test purpose, we can activate this 7 days license. After 7 days, we can reactivate that. This is a good feature, allows us to do the test before we purchase the license. We can switch back and forth, and here it shows this is the expiry date, 7 days. This is the PLC license. We need to test the OPC UA, so we need to activate that OPC UA license. Go to Manage License. let's scroll down, find out TF61. Okay, this TC3 OPC UA. Let me activate this CPU license. We can click this and click this 7-day trial license. Okay. Again, when you activate this license, make sure this selection here. If you accidentally select the local, the license you just activate that just locate within your laptop, your engineering laptop. That is now the external Beckhoff controller. Okay, make sure you are selecting the controller you are connecting. Okay, so if I switch over and now it got a refresh. Now make sure this license, even that's trial license, that is activated. Okay, so now we can save the project, build again, and we can download this project temporarily. And we can test if we can download the project successfully, and we can check out if the variable we can set. Okay, and before we download, we also can go to the real time here, check out the core setting. So still make sure you are selecting the remote controller you are connecting, and then click this read from target. This isolate this number, actually that means this controller will use the core, and this isolated core that actually serve for the Beckhoff controller. Okay, so here we need to click 1. So this isolated core serve for the controller. Okay, and check this. Click this read from target. So now that means from this remote, this Beckhoff controller, it has 4 cores from that CPU. This controller, that CPU is i7. So that i7 has 4 cores in that. For the real-time core, this isolated core is used for that. Okay, so this default 3. That means all those I/O PLC tasks, those will use this number 3, this isolated core. Okay, and now I click this set on target. Okay, set as this. Set. Click this reboot. After I click yes, so my external computer now actually is doing the rebooting. We'll wait maybe 1 or 2 minutes, waiting for its rebooting successfully, and then we can connect this again. We can see this connection will recover. After that, we can download the configuration. We can download the hardware, and then we can active this login to active this software setting. Okay, we can see it's refreshing. So now it means we connecting this controller rebooted. Okay, and then we can click this active configuration. Click OK. And after we download this hardware active configuration, we can go to the software. So click this CPU, click this PLC project, make sure this TMC file, we checked it. Okay, and then click this login. Okay, here we can see this online value. Firstly, we can set something here. For example, this is the prepared value. Here we can prepare 10, 20, 30 for the integer. Okay, for the real, we can type in this. Just to prepare for testing. And some of those variables, we set the attribute as OPC UA DA. Okay, we set that 1. So we active the OPC UA. Okay, and then we will create another project. That is the OPC UA project. From here, we can create a new project. And then let's select TwinCAT connectivity, and still make sure we create this project under the same directory. Okay, and name. So here, this is the connectivity. We can name that OPC UA. Okay, and here this solution, it named create a new solution or add to solution or create in new instant. I'm gonna select this add to solution. Add to this solution. Select and then click OK. Okay, we add this project here. And then right click, click this add, new item. We will add this TwinCAT OPC UA Server project. Okay, this name is named TwinCAT OPC UA Server project. I will delete this project 1. Okay, click add. Okay, so we set up this project here. So after this, we need to active one toolbar here. So we need to go to Tools, Customize, and active this TwinCAT OPC UA Configurator. Click Close. It will active this bar here. We can drag it. Drag to the bottom line here. Actually, it's very long from here to there, right? And here, this is very important. We can click this Add Target OPC UA Server. This is a place to set up the URL, that is the OPC UA Server address. After we download this configuration to the OPC UA Server, the OPC UA Client will use this URL address to find out this server. And from here, we can type in the IP address of that remote connected external Beckhoff controller. So that Beckhoff controller, that is 192.168.1.10. So this is that external Beckhoff controller IP address. This configuration will be downloaded to the Beckhoff controller. So the Beckhoff controller will use this address as its OPC UA server address, URL address. And we haven't finished yet. So we need to type in 4840. This is the entire this URL. Okay. And after this, click add. So we will click this trust. Check out this save certificate to trust list. Click this trust. Okay. After this, it will show up at here. If you have a trouble on creating URL, this line, this link, after you click this trust and the certificate, that's maybe the trouble on your target controller. That certificate was located in the reject folder. You need to move that file, the certificate file, from the reject folder to the trust folder. I will use another video to discuss this detailing. Make sure this used is named true. If you click this use, so toggle this button, now it shows false. That means this connection is not activated. So make sure this used here is running and it shows true, and click OK. Once we add the target OPC UA server, so now we can see this is the OPC UA server connection we just add. Okay, this is OPC UA. Now let's go to the DA access. Right click, click this add device type. From this pop-up page, I would like to explain one important concept, that is a date type. So now date type shows TMC filtered. The filtered means OPC UA data will be only come from the variable with the attribute OPC UA attribute we discussed. If here you select the TMC all, that all the variables in the global variable list will be shared as OPC UA tags. Another important parameter, that is the ADS port, that point to the correct CPU will connect with the OPC UA server. Before we discuss this data access, let's set up the data server OPC UA server, and let's connect this server at first, and then let's discuss this data access, because the data access will talk about what kind of data we need to share from the PLC to OPC UA server, right? So we need to set up and connect the OPC server correctly at first. And then let's go to this select an endpoint here. So from this job list, we can see the couple setting here. Where this come from? This come from when we click this level, this TwinCAT OPC UA server, this level. So the right side, this center area will show those selections here. When we switch to the OPC UA endpoints, this UA endpoints, so this area actually the selection from this list that come from this. Okay, for the test purpose, we can select this two only. One is none, one is this basic. Okay, we select two of them. And also double check those three enable the anonymous login, enable username, password login, and enable the certificate. Okay, and make sure the server port we set 4840. That's the default port for the OPC UA communication. And after we select this, so we can go to this online panel. Currently, we haven't downloaded or haven't connected anything, so this area shows nothing here. And then I will click this connect. Okay, anonymous, and save the user setting. Okay. Do you want to load the current running configuration from the server? Yes. Open configuration from target? Yes. Do you want to override the current opened configuration? Click yes, override. Target configuration was loaded. The local configuration has been overwritten. Okay. And once you see this area shows as a gray, that means we connected this OPC UA server. And after this, let's go to this data access. So from here, let's right-click, click this Add Device Type. So firstly, we need to change this ADS port. The reason why we need to set this, so this area, once this server set up, so what kind of communication, what kind of data it need to exchange, right? So this data access, that's used for that. That will tell this OPC UA server which PLC data you need to communicate. So that's why we need to set up this data access. At this ADS port, we will set up this 851. I will explain this after. And after this, select this device type. So here, as I explained, if we select all, so all the variables in the global variable list could be shared as OPC UA variables. If we select the filtered, only the variable with the attribute OPC UA that equal to true, that will be shared as OPC UA variable. So this simple file name, so we need to select this small button here. And make sure at this area, you switch to target TwinCAT boot directory. And from here, select this PLC. And then select this port 851. This area means we are picking this TMC file from my external TwinCAT controller. Okay, click OK. So this is actually this directory. And the data type, I will select the filtered, so we can see some value without the attribute will be filtered. After we set up this data size, so don't forget, right-click, click the right configuration to target. That allows to download data access to the OPC UA server. Also, you can create a couple data access, point to the different PLC, or set up the different data access point to the same PLC, so you have a different channel. So when you use the OPC UA Client to browse OPC UA server, so you will see you have a 3 channel or 2 channels. Each channel have a specific TMC setting. For example, sometimes I will set up one point to the TMC filtered, and another channel point to the TMC all. So I can specifically select the filtered variable, or I can select the browse all the variables in the PLC using the OPC UA Client. And after we download all the configuration, and after we log in the PLC, then we can use the OPC UA Client to test this OPC UA server data. So we can see the data is showing here. And now I will use the OPC UA Client to test this remote. Okay, I'm gonna use this UaExpert, this software. This is very handy OPC UA Client, and it's used for free. Okay, it comes from Unified Automation. Okay, so we will add one connection, add server. And then we can select this custom discovery. Double click, we can manually create this connection. So if you recall that time when we create that URL, that connection, the opc.tcp/ip Here, we need to set the same setting, 192.168.1.10, and okay, and 4840. Okay, this is the entire URL address. Click OK. So once it show up here, that means actually this client has been found, this remote OPC UA server. Now I'm using my laptop, and this client found one external computer. This is the Beckhoff controller. And now I can expand that. If you recall, that time when we picked the endpoint, so I used this. Okay, I can click OK. And from here, I can click this connect. So it asks me for the certificate. So click this add the server certificate temporarily. I can click this trust server certificate. Okay, trust it, and click this continue. And we can shift to this area. And this area, it shows, it browsed the variable. Okay, if you recall, all the variable we declared under the OPC UA, that global variable list. The global variable list is named OPC UA. And we declared all those variables. As we can see, if you recall, to specially test this filter, I declare the integer full and the real number full. But the real number full and the integer full, they don't have the attribute OPC UA equal to true. That's why when I use the filter, that TMC filter, so these two variables will not show here. The only variable with that attribute will be shown here. That's why they won't be shared or it won't be exchanged by the OPC UA. So all the variable with that attribute will be exchanged and shared here. So we can drag all those variables to this area. So now we can see this is the data we type in. So it's the same as the value in the PLC. So they are the same at here. So at here, we can type in the data. For example, for this real 2, this value here, I can type in the value 654.5. So once I type in here, so we can see the data at here. For the real 3, I can set the data, for example, 100.25. Okay, click. So we'll see the data is here. If I turn off this bool, so we can see the bool got to change. So that means this OPC UA client tested this OPC UA server that successfully. In the meantime, to check out the OPC UA server status, we can go to this level. And if you recall, we set the OPC UA endpoints, right? Now, if you shift to the online panel, we can see the status. So if some friends, you are testing this OPC UA server, if you got a trouble, maybe firstly, you need to check out the status at here. Check out the server status and this license. Probably if you forgot activate the trial license in your target OPC UA server laptop or computer. So make sure that target computer is running the trial license. Okay? So this is the OPC UA test. I'm using this actual controller C6030, that Beckhoff controller, as my target system, and using my laptop remote config this Beckhoff controller, and I remote connect and download this configuration. Okay, and also make sure, so when you set up the PLC project, so make sure this TMC got checked. Because this TMC got checked, that's why when we set up the OPC UA server, this data access, this PLC here, from this right side configuration here, we got this connection, this symbol file. If we want to publish all the PLC variables as OPC UA variables, make sure this device type, we select this TMC all. And the reason why I set this 851, that because from this PLC project, if we click this PLC project, click this project, so we can see this PLC project, that port number, that's 851. That's why when we set up this PLC connection under this OPC UA server, we set this 851. That allows this all configuration find out this PLC. It's using this port find out the correct PLC. And then this directory simple file allows this OPC UA server find out the variable under this OPC UA, this variables. Okay. And sometimes if you got a trouble, maybe you can try disconnect and connect again. Also, you can see this active OPC UA server config. Maybe if you forgot something and you got a new change, make sure you click this active OPC UA server config. Okay, so this can update some setting after you change something. Okay, we can click yes. So this will download the configuration, this area, endpoint, something, all those area download to your target OPC UA server. Also, you can try click this restart OPC UA server. So now we can see now it shows red because it hasn't started yet. So I can click this restart. Alright, that is the OPC UA server running in one external Beckhoff controller. And the highlight of this video, I especially use one Beckhoff controller running as OPC UA server. Some video I showed before, that time I used my local laptop run as OPC UA server, and configuration I download in my local laptop. But most of the cases in the actual practice project, we will use one external controller. So this video especially discuss how can we use one external controller run as OPC UA server, and that PLC also running inside this controller. Alright, that is for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumb up. If you like to watch more videos in my channel, please subscribe and hit the bell. Thank you for watching.